Hi, this is Donna. Welcome to DD Paper Crafts. Today I'm making another hexagonal shaped box. This box is similar to a spellbinder die which I saw on Pinterest. The only difference is I've created the base slightly differently. I'm not sure what size the spellbinder box ended up, so this box is to my own measurements. The box has a simple ribbon element at the top, and the elements of the lid come down like so to access the inside of the box. The box doesn't have to be a hexagon. Indeed, you could make the same style of lid and get a similar effect if you were to make a square. Obviously, you would only have 4 elements at the top. This box is 5 to 5.5 inches across. The sides are 3 inches high, and it's about 6 to 6.5 inches at its highest point in the centre. You don't have to make the box this size, and indeed you could change the length of the lid pieces, so you could make them longer or shorter and change up the angle and the look of the lid. I will give you 2 sets of measurements, one which you can use if you don't have a hexagon die, and another which you can use if you have a hexagon or the ability to make a circle, which you can then use for the base, rather than in this instance where the side and the base come together to form the bottom of the box. The project will use about 3.5 sheets of US letter or A4 cardstock, and I would recommend that you use double-sided rather than single-sided, because on the lid, this, if you imagine, is the front of the cardstock, and then as the petal or the leaf or whatever shape you choose to use, this would be the back of the cardstock. So let me show you how I put this project together. We'll start with the bottom portion of the box, and you'll need 2 pieces. If you don't have a hexagon or a circle die, your 2 pieces will be 9.5 by 6. If you do have a hexagon die or a circle die you're going to use for the base, your piece will be 9.5 by 3.5. Regardless of the size of cardstock you're using, the scoring will be the same. Along the 9.5 inch side, score at 3, 6 and 9, and along the shortest side, the 6 or the 3.5 inch side, score at 3. If you've got a 6 inch piece as I have here, these will form the base of the box. If you've got a 3.5 inch piece, you'll have 1/2 inch glue tabs here to which you will adhere your hexagon or your circle shape for the bottom of the box. Fold and burnish along all of the score lines. With the 1/2 inch glue tab on the right hand side, we're going to cut up the score lines within the bottom section, so this will be 1/2 inch or 3 inches as it is here, cut up to the long horizontal. Rotate, remove this long rectangular section and take a wedge from the ends of this glue tab. We'll join the 2 pieces together by adding glue to this glue tab here, add this piece into place, add glue to this glue tab here, and then complete the hexagonal shaped box. I'm going to fold all of the pieces out, so we'll just start with 2 tabs which are opposite each other. So I'm going to fold that one in. There should be a 1/2 inch overlap. I'm going to add glue onto the bottom 1/2 inch, bring this tab over and make sure that your sides are lined up. Keep this edge and this edge running straight. I'm going to take the next lot of opposites and I'm going to lightly pencil where the flap comes over the base of the box. So I've got an outline there. I'm going to do the same here. So this shows me where I can add my glue on this piece. I'm going to start to use construction glue, so that I can manoeuvre the last tabs into place, and it will also add some strength to the base using this. And then I'm going to do the same here. Because I've used construction glue, I can now flip the piece over, manoeuvre the sides into shape if I need to. I'm quite happy with that. That's come together nicely. And now I can go in with my score tool and just spread the glue. So that is effectively the base of the box. You might want to add your decorative paper on now or wait till the end. If you want to add your pattern paper on, my pieces will be 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. We're now going to work on the lid element of the box. I will show you the process I used for the lid, and then you can change up any of the sizes or the shape at the top of the lid as you so wish. The main thing to consider is obviously the width of the cardstock needs to be the same as the width of the box. And you may want to make one as a template and then draw around it 6 times, or you may want to cut each of your 6 pieces by working the cutting and measuring lines out independently. That's entirely up to you. You'll need 6 pieces which are 6 1/4 inches by 3 inches. And along the 6-inch side, score at 1/2 inch, and then at 4 inches, put a pencil line from top to bottom. Take your ruler, make a pencil mark at 1 1/2 inches. That would be here. You then want to measure and mark 3/16 of an inch to the left of that mark and 3/16 to the right of that mark. And again, this is just me showing how I produced my lid sections. So 1, 2, 3/16, 1, 2, 3/16. Do that on all 6 pieces and just put those to one side. If you want to use the petal shape, the same as mine, I'm going to show you how I came up with that. You may have petal dies, you may have leaf dies, you may want to use a heart, you may want to just cut a simple diamond. That's entirely your choice. I made one template which I then drew around on all 6 pieces. To make the template, I started with a piece of cardstock which is 1 1/4 by 2 1/4. Along the top edge, I measured and marked at 5/8 of an inch. I did the same on the bottom edge of the cardstock, and I then marked 3/16, 1, 2, 3 to the left of the mark and 3/16 to the right of the mark, and that gave me these 2 pencil marks here. I then drew in my petal shape. So the bottom left hand side of my petal was going to start here, and I just drew up and created a petal shape up to the top pencil mark, like so. Now, I wasn't too concerned if it was exactly equal on both sides. Most petals aren't. But if you wanted to make sure it was symmetrical, draw a line from top to bottom, cut out 1/2 of your petal, and on a separate piece of cardstock, draw around this half, flip this half over to create a mirror image, and then draw around the other half and cut that out, and that will give you a symmetrical petal. You can see this is the template that I originally used, and that is in no way symmetrical, but I'm not at all concerned with that. Take your petal and place the bottom edges of your petal up with the pencil marks on your lid template. So that will sit like so. And I'm then going to draw around, make sure the tip is at the top of the cardstock, and I'm then going to draw around the petal like so. So that's going to be the top element of the box which folds out. The next thing I'm going to do is join up the edge of the petal, the bottom edge of the petal, down to the bottom right hand corner of the cardstock like so, and do the same on the left hand side like so. We can then fold and burnish along our score line, cut a wedge from the ends, and then we're going to cut this piece out. Get rid of any of your pencil marks and you will have 6 pieces which look like this. I want to create a specific look on the outside of my box, so I'm going to decorate my side panels and decorate these before I add them on, because I want to make sure my paper gets lined up. This obviously is a tricky shape in order to add patterned paper onto. I used one of these as a template on a piece of scrap cardstock, drew around it, cut it out, and then I measured within 1/8 of an inch along each of the sides and at the bottom. So there would be a pencil line 1/8 of an inch from here, and from here. And then I estimated 1/8 of an inch around the outside edge and drew round to create the petal. I cut that out and that gave me this piece. So if you imagine this is my pattern paper, which it isn't, my pattern paper is going to sit on the top like so. So I'm going to use this as a template to create the matte layer to go onto the lid panel. Remember that as your lid comes up like this piece is going to curve backwards. So at the same time, you can add any decoration you want to on the petal section. And indeed, the lid is going to fold out like so. So you may want to add pattern paper on the back and the front. I've added paper onto both sides of the lid panels, and I've decided to go for green on this side, so it's more of a leaf look. I've added tape to the bottom hinge, and on each one, gently burnish the leaf or the petal just to add a curl. Do pay close attention to the narrow piece here because it will be fragile. Make sure you've removed any pencil marks. I'm going to take the backing off the tape, sit the piece in the side panel, line the score line of the lid up with the top of the box. So that will sit in like so. So I'm going to carry on doing that all the way around. Here's the finished box. I pulled the lid up to the middle, added the ribbon, and then curled the top elements a little bit more, and I've just added some butterfly elements on the top. To be honest, I'm not sure if they're too much. I might end up taking those off. But with regard to the way the box has come together and the final look of the box, I'm really happy with how it's come out. I did take the time when I was cutting the pattern paper to cut the base piece here and the lid piece here from a strip. So although there is the border, this piece is actually the bottom of this piece here, and the pad actually runs all the way round until I got to the end of the 12 by 12 paper. The paper I used was the Meadow Garden paper pad by Crafter's Companion. So there we have today's project. As I said at the beginning, I think this style of lid would work well for whether it be a 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8-sided box. It does come together very nicely and adds a nice stylish top to a basic shaped box. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel. And until next time, thanks for watching.